All right, we'll just get started. So hello, thank you for joining us. If you are either joining us right in our Facebook group or through our Zoom link or watching it on the replay, welcome. My goal for you while you are here is to feel confident the next time you open your QuickBooks file. So for the next 20 or so minutes, I would like you to take notes and then apply what I teach you after our session, just so you can concentrate on what I'm saying and then implement after our session. Now, wherever you are in your QuickBooks journey, I am here to fully support you. If we've never met before, hello, I'm Chris Adams, and this is my family. I live in New England, and I used to own my own catering business and pizza business. After 12 years, I eventually sold both businesses successfully and now run a virtual bookkeeping agency for restaurants. What I loved when I owned my businesses was knowing my numbers and figuring out how to increase profits year after year. Now, I wasn't always like that. For the first few years, I didn't know what my numbers were. I really didn't know if I was making a profit, what my payroll percentages were, and more importantly, what they should be. So I eventually saw the impact QuickBooks did for my businesses, and I want to do that for your restaurant as well. I realized what a tool QuickBooks can be if you are actually using it in the right way. One reason I didn't know if I was making a profit or not was because I didn't know how to pull reports in QuickBooks. Once I figured it out, it was kind of like a gut punch. I was like, oh, is that what I've been making? When you don't pull reports and only look at the money in your bank account, then you think you are doing okay. And maybe that's what you've been doing too. Again, I've been in your shoes. Stay with me until the end, where I will discuss the next steps after learning about understanding your restaurant's numbers today. And there'll be a special offer as well, so stay tuned. Mastering the financial landscape in your restaurant is the fastest way to truly understand the numbers so you know what is happening in your restaurant. And today we're going to be talking about the financial landscape, how to understand the numbers so that you can make good, sound decisions. So let's get into the details now. What makes your restaurant grow? What creates growth? It's sales, right? I see a lot of restaurants with a lot of sales, but what they don't have is the financial controls. So they think because the sales are good, the restaurant is doing good, but they have really no clue. They have no idea of their numbers. Is that you? And no offense if it is, that's why you're here, right? Then there are the other restaurant owners that reconcile every month. They log into QuickBooks, they record their sales and expenses, but have no idea how to read the financial report. You have your QuickBooks file, but it's not designed to help you in your particular restaurant make any key decisions for your restaurant. Or are you just starting out and are brand new? Which one are you? Can you relate to any of these scenarios? I would love for you to be able to understand your financials for your restaurant. Imagine opening up your QuickBooks and knowing exactly what areas you need to be using to understand the profitability of your restaurant, to truly understand your numbers so you know what is happening day to day in your restaurant. What I want to do right now is share my screen with my QuickBooks file with our fictitious file. So I can just give you a brief overview and a brief navigation of what the QuickBooks is. So let's see if I can get into that part. Okay. Let's see. Let me just move that. Okay. So this is our fictitious QuickBooks file. And first you have the vendors. And what you would do is you hover over expenses, and then the subcategories come up and you would click on vendors. The people, the places, this is all listing where you spend your money. It lists your food vendors. It will list your utilities, your electric company. It will list also any contractors if you pay anyone with for a 1099 versus a W-2 employee. And then we have customers, or where your sales are, hover over sales, and then you click on customers right here. But with restaurants, it's a little different. So you're really not listing out all of your customers at all. So when you are recording your sales, you should be using a daily sales journal entry. And that way it would capture that day's sales, and taking out, your meal tax, and breaking out if it's bar sales, food sales, that sort of thing. So we really don't use the customer section in QuickBooks when you're a restaurant. I know I did when I had a catering business, but for most restaurants, you wouldn't be using that. And then the section over here, hovering over payroll and then clicking on employees too. It depends which payroll provider you are using. If you're using a third-party payroll provider such as ADP or Paychex or any of those, you won't be usually seeing a list of employees here. If you're using the QuickBooks payroll feature, you will be seeing that. Or if you're doing the payroll yourself, you will be seeing the employees' information there. Where you would find the chart of accounts is if you hover over accounting and then chart of accounts. And this is really important for your restaurant, especially to customize your reports, but we will get into that in just a little bit. Another really important feature in QuickBooks is your bank feed. So you would hover over banking and then click on banking again. For this instance, you just have the one bank that is set up through this bank feed, but you really should have all your bank accounts. Say you have a payroll account and a operating bank account, and then any credit cards would be nice to have it linked through the bank feed. That way, when transactions come in, you can just categorize them versus totally inputting each new transaction into the register. So it really is a time saver to have the bank feed. Okay, let's get back into the slide presentation. Let's see, I'm just bringing in another person who's just joining the group. So let's see. All right. What do you want to see in your report, especially your profit and loss? Let's start with thinking of the end result. What do you want to get out of it? You probably want to know if you're making a profit or not. That's why it is called a profit and loss, as it's going to tell you just that information. It will show you your income minus your expenses and will give you at the very bottom of the report a final number. If it's a negative number, your restaurant is at a loss. If it's a positive number, you're making a profit. So what you're looking at is a report showing if you have a profit or loss. Let's pull up a sample profit and loss. Here's one right here. This restaurant shows a profit of $10,377.61 for the month of January 2020. I'm sorry if this is hard to see, especially on a slide. That is the first concept of understanding the report. It shows the income and the expenses. I just want you to be clear, however, that it doesn't show the full financial landscape of your restaurant, though. For instance, it doesn't show what the restaurant owes, the loans that you may have, or your assets. That is where you want to pull your restaurant's balance sheet. But let's go back to the profit and loss. Let's keep talking about that report. It's essentially a reflection of the ability to drive sales, to manage expenses, and to generate profits. What is great about it is that you can set it up for a particular date range. Especially since restaurants can have slower seasons, you can pull the profit and loss and compare different time periods, compare that same time period from the year before, and etc. The next thing that you're going to want to do is see what know the difference between cash and accrual basis. Cash basis means that it recognizes revenue and expenses at the time cash is received and paid out. Accrual basis recognizes income at the time the revenue is earned and records expenses when liabilities are incurred, regardless when cash is received or paid. Accrual method can be great for restaurants, especially independent restaurant owners like you, because it better matches the revenue with related expenses. Have you heard of the term earn, owe, use? Earn means sales recorded the day it happens. Owe means anytime a product is purchased or services performed, such as a plumber, for example, whether paid yet or not, the expense is recorded that day. Use means what you used in product. So another important part of the profit and loss is the categories. These categories come from your chart of account. Having your chart of account set up correctly is so important. It should be customized for your restaurant and meant just for you. All transactions you have in your restaurant will reflect in a certain category. Why is it important? The more you can customize and design your chart of accounts, the clearer picture you will have of your restaurant's financials. Design it in a way to help you make decisions for your restaurant. I want to give you a couple tips. With knowledge comes power, right? So we need to be careful how we use it. When we change categories in our chart of accounts, it will change for all the way back. So if you've had the restaurant for a few years, it will change your reports, and we don't want to do that. I would suggest making categories inactive and then start using a new category or a new account name for any changes moving forward that you wanted to make. Another tip is to use the collapse option if you want cleaner looking profit and loss. If you use a lot of sub-accounts, this collapse feature summarizes them in one line, and then most likely you will have a one-page profit and loss, which makes it so much easier to read. So let's go through your profit and loss. The first section is your income. Then you have your cost of goods. Normally, your cost of goods go up proportionately when your sales go up. Subtract your cost of goods from your income, and that will give you your gross profit. This number you can use then to compare the standard gross profit margin for restaurants. This is why I say you need to know your financials landscape so that you can compare to standards and determine how your own restaurant is doing. Then below that, you have the rest of your expenses. These expenses that don't increase when your sales increase, such as rent, phone, cleaning services, etc. The other income can be interest income, it can be credit card rewards, or it could be one of the loans that was forgiven during COVID. Those all go in the other income. So then the bottom line is your net income. So if you have a negative amount, you have a loss, a positive amount, then you're making a profit. Now, to make sure the data on your report is accurate, you first need to reconcile your accounts. That means all bank accounts, credit card accounts, cash accounts, and even loans. Reconciling will make you feel confident that you entered into QuickBooks is the most accurate and mirrors your bank statements. So to recap, understanding your restaurant's dashboard or financial health is so imperative for you to grow. This will make you feel comfortable making sound decisions for your restaurant. For the balance sheet, you can, again, run it for a certain time period. This is a financial statement that reports a company's assets, liabilities, and equity. It provides a snapshot of what a company owns and owes, as well as the amount invested by shareholders or by yourself, you as the owner. The balance sheet equation is assets equal liabilities and equity. This equation means that a restaurant has to pay for all of its things it owes, which are assets, by either borrowing the money, liabilities, or taking it from investors, equity. Balance sheets basically determine risks. It lists everything a restaurant owns and all of its debt. You can quickly assess whether you have borrowed too much money, whether the assets you own are not liquid enough, or whether you have enough cash on hand to meet current standards. The components of a balance sheet, the assets are listed first. The most liquidity is listed first, for example, cash, accounts receivable, inventory, and prepaid taxes. Then long-term assets, including fixed assets, intellectual property. The next section is liabilities, any money owed to outside parties, to suppliers, etc. And the last section is shareholder equity, retained earnings and retained earnings. It is the money attributable to the owner of the restaurant or its shareholder. The net earnings a restaurant reinvests in the business or uses to pay off debt. This is an example of a balance sheet. You can see all the sections here that we just covered. I know it's very hard to read this, but I will certainly share it if you want to send me a message after this. I hope this helps you understand that knowing how to read your financial reports will help you know if you are profitable or not. To recap what we covered, number one, the navigation of QuickBooks Online. Number two, cash versus accrual. Number three, the chart of accounts. Number four, the profit and loss. And five, the balance sheet. So let's map out a game plan for you so that way you can take the information and can actually utilize it and implement it. Here's a few options for you. First, number one, you can do this all yourself. You will go back to your restaurant and implement all of this all on your own in the midst of running a restaurant and all the other headaches that you have to deal with. This would be a total DIY option. So you would enter all the information maybe through the bank feed, or you would be recording the sales yourself and paying all the bills and that sort of thing. So that would be the first option, that you do everything on your own. Option number two, and this is what we're really most excited about, is you can join our Restaurant Owners Understand Your Books in One Day Academy. It's currently going to be on sale for the next 10 days. Normally, we sell this for $19.97, but you're going to be getting it for $4.97. And not only does this come with modules covering in depth QuickBooks Online, the chart of accounts, how to record money in using the daily sales, how to record money out, paying vendors. It will talk about liabilities. We'll go over the sales and the meal tax and how to pay it. We'll talk about tips and how to report it. We'll go over payroll, month-end tasks, and reconciliation. And most importantly, how to analyze your own month-end report. And it also includes a bonus module of job costing. This is so important this really makes sure that you are pricing everything at the right level. We dive deeper into the profit and loss, the balance sheet, and we will show you the statement of cash flow report as well. Plus, not only is this those 6 weeks, not only do you get this, but you also get 6 weeks of coaching from me to help answer any questions as you're going through the program. This pricing will only be slashed for the next 10 days. We only have restaurant clients, so we work specifically with your industry. Restaurant bookkeeping can be one of the most challenging of any other restaurant or any other industry, I should say, and you should know that yourself, being a restaurant owner. So we will be there right alongside of you to help guide and answer any questions during the 6-week course. And then the final option would be to have a professional take this over for you, such as my bookkeeping agency. Again, we only work with restaurant clients. You can concentrate on why you started the restaurant in the first place, making great food and creating a successful restaurant. To do this option, take a look at this link, book a call here so you can chat and see if we would be a good fit for working together. To recap, you can choose to do the books all on your own. You can utilize our Restaurant Owners Understand Your Books in One Day system, where we teach you over a 6-week period everything you need to do for your books in the everyday world. And finally, you hire us to do the monthly bookkeeping. And I want to leave you with one final tip, and that is to schedule an appointment with your tax advisors before the end of the year. Do you already do this? I always recommend this. As your business changes and grows, your taxes are going to change. So you want to make sure you are prepared, and you don't want to wait until tax time to do the tax planning. As you can see, I hope you can see that we are so excited about our new system that we are just launching, and the pricing will only be good for the next 10 days, so that I hope you hurry up and make a decision on how you want to proceed with your restaurant. With it being year end, this is the perfect time to get into this so that you can make sure that your books are totally updated for year end and for your CPA come next year in the beginning of the year. So I will open this up. You certainly may email me with any questions at hello@thefoodbookkeeper.com. You can also DM me right through the Facebook group, and I will answer any questions that you may have. But again, I encourage you to take a look at the system and take a look at the modules again that we will be covering in the system. And I thank you for your time and joining us. I will be reaching out to you as well, just to see if you have any questions. All right. Let me just check in QuickBooks or in, I always say QuickBooks, in Facebook to see if you had any questions. Let's see. Somebody asked how long again for the pricing. This pricing will be good until for the next 10 days. Yeah. So anyways, I think that those were the questions, and I thank you so much for joining us, and I will be back in touch.